Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. We don't know where Bruce is. Ian's just said, "Where's Bruce?" We don't know. Let me check my email. He's can be very tardy, and tardy. And we know he's not tardy.
He's usually on time. He's usually on
He
time.
is. He is usually on time. No, he's probably upsetting a counsellor somewhere, isn't he? That's probably what he's doing. some, some other law breaking. I don't know if you've seen this recent video of yet more bright law. Oh no, is this him? It's Mick West.
Hello.
Oh, wow. It's Mick West.
Oh,
Wow,
great.
what an honour. Thanks,
Hello,
man.
everyone. You're welcome.
Hello there.
Good
So,
to be
Mick,
here.
Well, let's jump straight into yourself. And Ian wrote a little piece for you about your fantastic little bit of software,
I saw that,
which seems to run on a thing called common sense logic and sort of checking the facts, which this is plainly doesn't work in the modern world. It's not a thing you should do. Why did you write that excellent? I should have a link ready to go. Ian, perhaps you run with the questions and I'll look for a link ready to go.
Yeah, it's a bit of I noticed Midwest on X, because when we started looking into Lakenheath, obviously there was a lot of the UAP crowd interested, and I noticed that Bormick seems to get a lot of abuse. A lot of people are unhappy with what he does, but from the drone community viewpoint, it's absolutely wonderful, because what Mickey's actually doing is just looking at what's actually going on in the sky and saying, when people say I've seen X or Y in this position at night, especially at night, not necessarily always at night, but especially in these cases, it was at night. It's then going away and saying, well, what was in the sky at that time? What aircraft? This is the Starlink planets, etc. And 99 times out of 100, there will be a perfectly reasonable explanation for it. So I think that's a reasonable introduction, isn't it?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, what I've been doing really is mostly UFOs. Before the big drone flap in New Jersey last year, the end of last year. Yeah, there was this big saying where everyone thought they were seeing drones up in the sky, and of course back then most of them were actually planes. And the software I developed is called SitRec, and it's used for basically recreating UFO videos. Like someone does a UFO video, you try to figure out what's actually there in the sky, and you can do that usually by downloading the tracks of planes that might be there at that time. And it's as accurate like star maps and things like that, so you can see exactly where you're looking, and accurate terrain and stuff. So you can just kind of drop in a camera where the person is, if you know what time it is, and point the camera in the right direction and see what's there. And it's quite amazing, really, just how easy it is for people to mistake planes for either UFOs or drones, especially, as you say, at night.
It's pretty amazing. What's your background? How did I couldn't do that. How can you do this magical thing?
Well, I used to be a video game programmer back in the day. I started Ocean Software in Manchester very, very long time ago. I moved to the States and I founded a company called Neversoft, and we did a game called Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which was pretty popular back then.
Ocean Software was.
I remember that fondly.
Was Decathlon, wasn't it?
It was what?
Was it not? Was it Decathlon? Was it not?
Oh, like Daley Thompson.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, that was a bit before my time. I came in like just kind of the end of the 8-bit era at Ocean. I just graduated from college, from university. I was at UMIST in Manchester, now called Manchester University, and just got a job doing the only thing I knew how to do, which was program computers, because I just wasted most of my time at university playing with my Atari ST. Paid off in the long run, but at the time it was a bit touch and go. But yeah, that's how I got my background in programming, and a lot of the UFO stuff. Yeah, it's very simple math, really. If you ever done any kind of drone simulation or anything like that, it's relatively straightforward physics. just for things moving through the air, especially if you're not simulating propellers and things like that, but it's just like thrust and direction and tilt and things like that. So it's basically the same type of thing as in video games. We have very, very simple math, or maths, as I used to call it before I moved over here and my language got corrupted. Then it's just like, you've got like a force pointing in this direction, you've got acceleration, you've got a bit of air resistance, and there's not a lot to it really. You can simulate what's going on, and you can kind of do that for these UFO videos, and you figure out like how fast something might be moving. But most of the time, we didn't even need to do that really. With pretty much 90% of the supposed drone videos that I saw were actually planes. And there's a wide variety of ways in which planes can get misinterpreted as being drones. And the most common really is when they're just kind of flying overhead, because this is kind of an angle that people are not used to seeing planes at. Because when they fly towards you, when they're flying overhead, it looks like either that they're hovering because they're near the horizon, or it looks like they're kind of rising slowly upwards from the horizon. Or they're just going to look really weird especially when they're low. If you get something like a biz jet, like a Gulfstream or something like that, that's overhead, it's an odd shape. People aren't really used to seeing it, and people get primed as well to look for these things. And I think that's what kind of happened in New Jersey, and I think it's what happened in a lot of these military bases. Like there may have been some original kind of root cause where some kid flies his drone near the base, somebody sees it, and then everybody's on the lookout for drones. And
what you're mentioning there is, I don't know if you saw it at the time, but following the panic at Gatwick Airport in 2018, Samira Shackle, who's a journalist who wrote a piece for The Guardian, and she spent several months on it. She was tasked in and expected that there would have actually been a drone. And obviously, when she went through the evidence, found out that there's confirmation bias. And there are events going back through history where this has occurred time and time again. If you tell people there is X to be feared, they will then fear X, and they will see something and attribute it to that ahead of what maybe they would otherwise think.
Yeah, and the problem is they don't know what they're looking for when they go out. You think, especially at a military base, you think, trained observers and whatnot, but they're not. They're just like, a lot of times it's just security guards. And they've been told, like, look out for drones. And so for the first time, normally they're just like patrolling the perimeter, making sure no one's jumping the fences or cutting the fences, and making sure there's nothing suspicious going on the ground. They're not trained to look in the sky. This isn't like part of a security guard's job. It's not to scan the skies for incoming like weird craft. Well, it probably is now, though, of course. But back then, they're suddenly told that they should be looking for drones, and they start looking up and they see lights, which are just planes. These places are in usually very busy airspace. And there's planes coming from all different directions and doing all kinds of different things. Some like cruising at high altitude, some coming into land, some just like taking off from somewhere, some turning around, some going around in racetrack patterns. And people just aren't used to all these different things and the different configurations of lights. Sometimes you get a triangle of light. Sometimes you get like a row of lights. Sometimes you just get one very bright light. If it's the landing lights of a plane coming straight towards you, it often appears to be just one big glowing ball. So people just don't know what they're looking at. And so because they've been told they should be looking out for drones, and they see things that kind of are hovering in the air, they think they are drones.
Amazing work. And well, obviously you've created a counter drone system now that you can sell for a huge amount of money, because that's exactly what they're all doing, isn't it? I'm surprised there aren't more camera-based systems, actually, to be honest, out there. But there we are.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Like with camera-based systems, the difficulty is the quality of what the sightings are is such a low thing. Like we're in UFO terms, we call this the low information zone, and UFOs only exist with crappy video. So if you got like good video of something, you can tell what it is. So if you got like great zoomed in video of a plane, you can tell it's a plane. If you got like crappy video, then it's hard to tell. And so that's the challenge for an automated system, is that there's always going to be something, these false negatives that you're going to get, or false positives rather, of the things that are just too far away. So, sure, it'll detect things that are nearby, but it won't detect something that's on the other side of the airfield. So in a way, it might make things worse. It'll detect certain things, but it'll give you a lot more false positives, and that creates issues of its own, as we've seen, really, with all the false positives from the security guards.
Then it becomes Chicken Little then, doesn't it? An acorn's fallen from the tree, and the story just propagates and propagates and propagates. Ian and I did a virtual drive around Lakenheath, and one of the interesting things we noticed on that is there was a CCTV camera on almost on every other pole, and you'd think by now you could get a combined picture from multiple cameras from a kilometre or two in. Simon's asking is it's free to use. I think I put a link into the software a bit further up, Simon. Have a look. If I didn't, I will now.
You've got a version there that's free, but what you've got online running at the moment is a more advanced version, which isn't there. But if people want to do the kind of thing you're doing, mate, there is a version they can just...
Yeah, it's all free though. I mean, the version I use is free. There's no actual super secret version or anything. Normally I end up like writing a little bit of extra code like every now and then, but if you go to sitrec.org, sitrec.org, it'll redirect you to the Metabunk page that has sitrec on it, and you can use it. But it's a fiddly bit of software. I must admit, I need to write some more tutorials on how to use it. There are certain things you can do which are fairly straightforward, like with the drone stuff. The stuff I did at Wright Patterson. They released like 7 different videos of, I guess, things that they at least originally thought were drones. It's not clear whether they still think that they're drones. And I was able to go through each one, and all you had to do was find the location the video was taken from and what the exact time it was taken. And luckily, all these videos were like iPhone videos, so they all had the location, the GPS location, and the exact time embedded in the video. So I was able to get that like down to the second exactly, when something was and where it was. So I could drop that into SITREC, that information. So I'm just setting up a camera location and a time. So the time initially just sets the time of day, the stars and stuff like that. And then you got to figure out like what planes are in the area. And I got a little kind of chat bot which I can use to just basically give a verbal description of a time and location, and it will give me a link to a site called ADSB Exchange, and that will give me just basically the planes that are nearby, and I can select ones that seem likely. I can download those tracks, and then I can just drop those into SITREC. And once you got those things in, it's just kind of a question of like looking around in the sky to see exactly what direction they were pointing in. In some cases, they had some buildings with it that were visible, so you can use that as well. Look on Google Earth to see what buildings were there, and then see if it matches what you're seeing in the video. And yeah, it did. Like each time there was a plane that was going across the sky. Sometimes you can match it with stars if they're visible. Sometimes just with the buildings. Sometimes it's just the angle of the plane. You can see like at this position, you've got the exact same speed and angle of motion. But in each one, like this one here, we're looking at. This is like one of the first ones that I looked at, and they were just at that position on the road. They're looking in that direction, and this actually tallied with a written report that they did, like describing this weird drone flying across the field.
One thing that concerned me with this, mate, was when I looked at the video, I could tell without needing any of this that it was an it was an aircraft, it was an airliner.
Yeah,
you could from the lighting that was on there, you could see a bit of the tail. So it just concerned me that when these things have been logged, that someone hasn't even twigged and thought, wait a minute, this isn't a drone. And also the witness statements that were there, they've gone to the point of saying, I saw a quadcopter. Well, they never ever saw a quadcopter. All they saw was actually lights. So you actually have witnesses that are, for whatever reason, they've convinced themselves or they're embarrassed that they think, I must embellish this a little. And they explain things that they actually haven't even seen which their own video proves they never actually saw.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, really, just these things that happen, and it's amazing the denial that people have who want to believe that something's going on, especially the UFO people, but maybe the the evil drone people as well. There was a case way back, I don't know, 4 years ago, I think. These green pyramids, and this was like a U.S. Navy case, and they had these videos that got leaked, but eventually they released the actual videos. And these are videos by the actual the head of the observation team on this Navy vessel, someone who should be a trained professional, and is pointing his camera up in the sky and is saying, like, we're getting reports of like 4 UAS, like drones, basically unmanned aerial systems, and they're hovering like 100 foot off the bow. And I was able to track down what he was actually looking at that point, and it turns out it was actually 4 different stars in the sky. And because they were slightly out of focus and the camera had a triangular aperture, the shape of them on screen turned into these green triangles. And so this they didn't realize it immediately. They realized basically over a year later. They actually talked about this in a Senate hearing there, where they were discussing the difficulties of cases, and they said, like, this was something that we thought was like triangular shaped drones, and it turned out to be, well, they even tweaked that it was stars. I think they thought it was actually regular drones, but it was actually just stars. It wasn't even drones, and one of them might have been a plane flying overhead, but there was no evidence of any drones there whatsoever. But it's the same thing again, but in a much kind of bigger and more serious situation, like a live exercise with battleships. They thought they were being swarmed by drones, but it was partly stars. One of them was the planet Jupiter, and one was probably a plane. And that's not to say that there's no problem with drones, obviously, and there might have been some drones there at that time as well. But it's like you get this one little push, one little thing, and then they get all these false negatives. So if there is a real problem of drone incursions by some foreign power, then he's getting lost in all this noise, and we really need better training with the people who are responsible for this type of thing.
It's funny, Mickey, that you made me laugh the moment you said Jupiter, because I don't know if you know, but Jupiter was responsible for a police force in Scotland, an officer driving around for an hour, trying to escape this drone, then going back to the station asking for reinforcements, and it was Jupiter.
Yeah, I've heard that. I said that happens with the moon as well. Someone actually had it happen with the moon, which seems a bit unbelievable, but certainly Venus and Jupiter, because they look like bright things in the sky. I've been fooled by both Jupiter and Mars. I thought Jupiter was not Jupiter, Venus. I thought Venus was a plane once, because it looked just like a plane coming towards me, the same spot in the sky. And Mars, I was down a dark country road once, and Mars was particularly bright and all by itself, and kind of slightly red looking. And I thought it was maybe a drone hovering somewhere or a police helicopter or something. So it's understandable people make mistakes, but when there's a lot on the line, they really shouldn't be. Then there should be someone checking them.
But you have taken the fun out of news reporting now. So all of the your CNNs and your BBCs and your Fox News, where they can string 10 days of headlines and absolute BS out of all these sightings. This piece of software has basically killed it all. It's basically killed, which of course is great. I think it's really good, and I think that if you had some good marketing on this, and if you push this towards the media and institutions, so that they would be aware of this. Of course, it's not good for them, because they're just kind of going, this software is just killing our viewers. It's killing
we clickbait them.
It's good for credible journalists, though, that wants the story and debunk it and say, they've all got it wrong, I've got it right, here you go.
But who's going to employ them? Yeah. Who would employ a credible journalist these days? There's no
money. To be fair, with the National Police Air Service thing, with the BBC looking at that, and giving it the time of day, we did get to the truth there. So I genuinely think that there are those journalists there that would pursue this given the right information and do it right.
But the Air Accident Investigation Branch in the UK are putting out reports where they're constantly saying pilots say it was a drone. Or that.
What do you mean UCAP? You've said AAIB. You mean
UCAP. Again, sorry, you know what I mean. but they're putting out these reports that this sort of evidence needs to go to them. But of course, I think that one of the problems we might have in the UK is a lack of coverage, ADSB coverage in certain areas, because you're going to need a little bit of extra data to.
I think you've got pretty good coverage actually in the UK because it's fairly densely populated.
Maybe I could be wrong.
The United States has these desert areas, and you can usually cover like 200 miles or so. I've never had any problem with the UK. I've never had any problem with the UK getting ADSB data for planes.
Okay, I'm wrong.
Occasionally, I do in the States because of the wide open spaces we have over here in the West. But yeah, no, I
think that one of the, I can't even remember what it is now. Anyway, there's one I think it's Skyscanner or SkySafe. Anyway, they are going to have they should have remote ID. So if we were to have remote ID data available, would you be able to have that there in order to show that there would be drones? So
I think is that going to be publicly available?
As far as
if you set up enough receivers.
I've been told, yes.
Right. So is that going to be the same type of thing as ADSB though? So there'd have to be a network of receivers, like public ones, and then I could certainly incorporate that if that was a thing. That would be great.
I think
I'll send you a link later to. I'll send. There's a really great project for making
that would be great.
Receivers.
VictimNet identify people who are distracted flying drones and then attack them.
I think that Safe Sky should have that. They should be broadcasting that soon, as far as I have heard.
Yeah, that's the problem with drones. Obviously, no ADSB data. It's very rare you can actually track down the actual drone itself, unless it's something official like a police drone, and then it's quite tricky. But since we hardly ever find drones, it's not actually been that much of a problem. We're not usually identifying what is that drone. We're identifying what is that plane.
It's all drones unless otherwise proven.
There's a group called Ashore in the UAS. They're tasked by the FAA, and they did. They scraped all this RID data for 11 months, and the drone users didn't know this was going on, so they didn't change any behaviours, and they found that virtually no drones were being flown at night and none in bad weather. So already straight away, it's now given us data to say, actually, if you are seeing something at night, almost certainly isn't a drone anyway. But the funny thing as well is, what people don't realise is drones don't have high power navigation lights. So all those lights you see on an aircraft, you don't have all that on a drone. You have very low power LEDs. So you can't see a drone typically more than about 50 meters away from you. And the only exception to that is there'll be some places, I know America's amongst them, where you have to put a strobe on it. But then you're just going to have a single light source. And as we can see with these examples, it's usually your red, your green, your white. So it's multiple light sources. So straight away, there's indications that say that isn't a drone. But the thing that's frustrating with this is the authorities who should know all this don't know it. And it's repeatedly happening. So I don't know, you might know when Langley was, but I know there was a lessons learned out of that where it said they didn't have the training, they didn't have checklists, they didn't have thermal optical stuff so they could see at night, and yet none of that has passed through to training today where any of the air bases have improved anything. Everyone's just equally as unaware of the night sky as they were for previous event after previous event after previous event that's happened.
Yeah, and it's going to be very difficult as well to train people up for that. It's it's probably not a huge priority, and that what's going to happen is they'll probably get like a 1-day training course or something, and it's probably not going to be enough because there's a lot of nuances to identifying things in the sky, and there's lots of variety in the types of things you can have.
It would kind of help though if you had a checklist that just said, are you seeing lights? Well, yeah, chances are it's an aircraft.
Is it moving in a straight line?
Just like you see multiple lights. Can you actually hear it? Because this is one of the things that's funny with drones as well, is they sound distinctly different to aircraft. And when you looked at, say, the Wright Patterson videos, you've got the audio as well, and you could hear it was a jet engine. So straight away, again, it told you it wasn't a drone. But none of those things were picked up either by the security or even worse, when they've been logged afterwards. It doesn't look like anyone in the authorities even said, well, we don't need a statement off these guys. They've clearly got it wrong. It isn't a drone. It doesn't look like anyone's identified. They're dealing with a lot of false positives.
Yeah. I think they could probably get rid of a lot of them as well by using stuff like my software. I mean, even just like the regular flight tracking software that you don't have to. A lot of the times you can identify planes on that manually. The benefit of what I do is that it allows you to place a camera down so you can see what it would look like from a certain position. And something I'm actually doing right now to it is adding the navigation lights to planes and making them look realistic, so they're fairly bright at a long distance. So right now, if I drop a plane model in, it's actually quite hard to see. Actually, why I had to make that plane bright yellow in the clip you were showing earlier. So I'm adding the lights, and I'm going to put them in the correct locations for the different plane models.
Well, so it sounds almost like it's like this Photo Pills app where you can have any if you can have the sun, you start you know where the sun will be or the moon will be at a certain time, at a certain day. But of course, you're putting data that has been there, and you can place it there. So it sounds very much like that,
Yeah, it is. It's basically replaying a point in time. So it has all the correct things like the sun. So it has the correct angle of the sun if it's daytime, and it will have like the moon and the stars and the planets in their correct positions as well. And it also has satellites, which is another thing that might occasionally get mistaken for drones. It's a white light moving across the sky. The International Space Station, that does crop up on the New Jersey drone pages. There's a page of people who are still on Facebook. People are still convinced that there's like loads of drones appearing every single night in New Jersey, and they go out every night and they look at things in the sky. But it's usually things like planes. But they also do things like the International Space Station, and I can just it's an automatic thing to just show me where the ISS is now.
I've had several times where I've had visual observers when we've been doing the drone shows, and it's been the ISS. Several times this has happened, and you have to say to them, that is a satellite, that is the space station. And I go, no, it's a drone. That's a space station, and you have to bring out the app and you have to show. So this is actually I would say a genuine problem, that we face as well. So
it's
just made me think. Is it presumably this is just something you're doing in your spare time?
Pretty much, yeah. There is actually there's an organization that paid me to do some specific enhancements to it for them. Like they were interested in doing a specific type of identifying specific things, which I can't talk about. But most of it is in my spare time. Like all the drone stuff, is all
So what I'm thinking with that is it might be worth you reaching out to the FAA and ashore and seeing if they've got any projects where they would see a synergy in supporting you. Because to me, it helps create a safer airspace. Because I don't know how much you're aware of what went on at Lakenheath in the UK, but we had a situation that all because of people on the ground not being able to identify stuff. A police helicopter was dispatched against the supposed drone, which turned out to be an F-15. So we could have had an helicopter and F-15 colliding because people on the ground didn't know about the airspace. So there is now a documented example of saying by not being aware, we're actually making the sky less safe because people are unnecessarily panicking about drones. So I think this is a really useful tool. And as we mentioned already, there's a frustration in the UK because the UK were terrible for this. We've got the UK Airprox board who just put out anything that says a drone, it almost always goes out as though it's official. And the newspapers here abuse that for clickbait, and they put it out and say this has happened as fact. When if you actually look at it, even from ADSB data alone, you could see at that exact position, just further away, there was a normal aircraft. So we've actually got sort of like yourself, volunteers called Airprox Reality Check, and they try and look into these and try and put some credibility behind it. Well, one of the guys has been trying to reach out to you, so maybe we could chat offline and put you in touch, because what they want to do is really understand your software, so they can use that themselves as a tool to say, wait a minute, we're not doing the investigation. It turns out this one with the helicopter is about the only one that's ever been investigated properly. Then they found out it was the F-15, but we think that only came about because there was a lot of noise with freedom of information requests. The BBC were interested, so there was a lot of eyes, on the Airprox board. So they went and investigated this properly, but normally that doesn't happen. So we're in this position where it's bad for the drone industry because it is continual. A drone nearly hit an airliner, and it's it's every month almost. But it's also that concern that this has proven that we're making things less safe because people are panicking, and we're dispatching police out, or we're logging reports, all because of just normal everyday lights in the sky that no one needs to panic about. So when New Jersey and New York came along, we weren't surprised at all, because at Gatwick in 2018 we'd seen exactly the same behaviors and realized that these things this snowball. And it was worse in the US because you've got a very passionate UFO community over there, and they then jumped on this as well and put that. And then worse, you had the news media. They're even worse than the news media over here, where there was literally threads, and the people were saying this is clearly an airliner. Look, here you go. You can even see the. There was somewhere you could actually see the logo of the airline and that.
I know, it was ridiculous.
There was still a news reporter further down saying, "Can I have this video to run on the show later on?" Having scrolled past all the stuff that said this was an airliner, they didn't care.
They don't care. They just want to put a cool story.
Ian, there's absolutely no way that Mick can take this to the FAA to say you should use this in the future, because once the DJI drone ban comes in, there won't be any drones flying in America.
Well, yeah, coming soon. Look, Nick, please stay with us. And I'm wondering if I didn't go to a party with you once in the 80s, but we'll come back to that later. Yeah, did you ever go to the Cody's place in Warwickshire, in Leamington Spa?
No.
No, well, then Codemasters.
Yeah,
well, it's just 90s. No, it must have been the 90s. Must have been the 90s.
Yeah, well, I moved to America in 93, so it would be a fairly narrow window.
Yeah, so the Codemasters gang I used to hang out with, I went to school with one of them.
Right,
so that's where. Anyway, that's by the by. Look, Dan's been sat here, and Dan is enabling me to jump to the news stories, because he are a news story. Hang on, let me get this. That's so slick I am. And go, there we are. Right, and there we are. And there's Dan. Dan, you're a news story. Tell us why you're a news story, Dan.
Well, fantastic. Thanks, Gary. Nice segue, by the way. That was a great segue.
That's so slick. So slick.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've noticed in the Canadian drone industry is that there was a massive gap in actual pure consultants to help navigate the entire value chain of drones. And I saw that there was a need, and I thought that I was rather well positioned to fill the need, and so I'm here. Right? We now have Joule and Remote Pilot Consulting. It's one of the few consultants in Canada that is it's brought to you without strings attached. So by strings attached, I mean there's plenty of companies out there. It's you know, a reseller of drones that offers consulting. Well, they're offering the consulting to try to sell you a drone, right? They're service providers that do consulting. Well, that comes with all sorts of problems, because if a service provider needs drone consulting themselves, they're not going to a competitor in order to make that happen. So it's been a wild 4 days for me, considering the announcement was just Thursday, and I've already got about 6 different opportunities in the hopper that I'm working through, with a couple with government, a couple with OEMs, foreign OEMs that are looking to come to Canada, and yeah, it's just been a great reception overall. So
very good. Well, I wish you luck. I've popped your link into the chat there on the side, and it can only be a good thing. I have a feeling that perhaps Canadians as UFO obsessed as the rest of the world seems to be. Are there many lights in the sky in Canada?
You know, one of the big differences, and maybe it's just the difference because I live rurally, like quite rurally. You know, we've got a lot of people that actually are savvy. You know, we do go outside to look for satellites specifically as they're going over. If there's something in the air at nighttime, well, it's usually at 35,000 feet. But you know, you don't really hear of too many UFO sightings in Canada. Now, I know part of that's probably because, you know, we're stuck in our houses a good 6 months out of the year.
That's true.
You know, yes. it does put a damper on heading outside. But yeah, I don't know. Most often it's closer to urban areas, and I'm thinking it's most often people who aren't used to seeing night sky. Right.
No, for sure. Now, because I want to, because we're 37 minutes in, we're going fast. I thought, and we do have a drone light show expert and a safety expert here as well, in Dan and regulations. But I thought this Australian report on, if you haven't seen, I'll put the link in the side. I thought this report on the this incident, this landing of lots of aircraft, was one of the most thorough and interesting reports I've ever read in the drone world. It lays it all out. It's all the details are there. I'll put the link in there in a second. Where's all the pictures gone? But it really is fantastic. So what was your take on that one, Stephen?
Yeah, I thought it was, I thought it was very well detailed, and of course it happened in 2023, so it was, it was, almost exactly 2 years ago. So it's obviously taken time for this to be compiled, and of course, which is only a good thing, because these things shouldn't be rushed, and I think that with the flight authorities, these kind of investigations are obviously new for them. And but yeah, I think I think that this was quite good and a good example. And I think that there was quite a lot of buildings around there. I always thought that this was something to do with either GNSS or wind, to do with the buildings that were around, because when you're if you're flying a show where there's a lot of say high-rise buildings, then you're going to get a lot of kind of wind vortexes coming in and stuff, which can be problematic at certain heights. I've experienced this quite a lot in Dubai as well. So I kind of hedged my bet on this with this investigation, and I was right with it as well.
Yeah.
But it is quite well done. And there should be what we tend to do, and what we've been doing with many Tesla software is what we do a wind test, and we we throw up about from 6 to 9 drones, and we have them at a different height. So we'll have 3 drones at the top end of the show, and then at the lowest end, and then we get the wind readings from all of those, because we know obviously that the wind can be different from certain heights, and obviously obviously depending if you have if you have a large amount of drones at the top and the wind's higher at the top than it is at the bottom, then that can be problematic, as what seems to have happened here as well. But yeah, it is very, very important to do wind tests. Wind tests are, you should not fly without doing, even if you're at ground level and you don't feel a breath of wind. I've seen many times that people get a bit complacent. They go, the wind's fine, we don't have to do a wind test, it's okay, let's just fire up all the drones. And you go, but you don't know what it's like up there. It could be quite gusty at 120 meters, So yeah, it's I think, but we should learn from these, and I think that these reports, it's good for everyone to understand and change your operational, So that's my take on it anyway.
Yeah, I thought it was a very good one. It's well worth reading. Now I see Ian's put that up in the side. Oh, I can't zoom it in. You're going to have to zoom it in, I think, Ian. Can I do it from there? I can't. Let's go like that. See if it makes it. No, it doesn't make it any better, does it? So do you want to tell us what the FBI have said there?
Yeah, I'd actually messaged you about this, Mick, earlier, being stateside, to see if you have any insights into fighting freedom of information exemptions, because I'm still going to have a go at this. I'd asked the FBI when they were looking at the incident in New Jersey and New York, if they'd correlated, seen any comparison to, basically if they'd actually been aware that what they were seeing was similar to what had happened at Gatwick Airport in 2018. And they say they have got documents where this was discussed, but because they say it's an ongoing investigation, they won't release the documents themselves, which to me seems a bit odd, because they have said that there isn't any criminal illegal activity that's gone on. So I don't really know how you can say you've got a criminal investigation ongoing if you're saying it was all innocent. So I don't know if I've got any leverage there to say, well, hang on a minute. And I'm only really interested in the bits of the document that talk about the similarities with Gatwick. I just wanted to see if they really did tweak that. Wait a minute, we've seen this before, and we know that there's a good chance that there's mistakes being made.
Yeah, I think that's probably were. I think a lot of the reason that they don't want to talk about things like this is they're just being like overly sensitive in a way. They don't want to tread on toes. There's a lot of deference given to other authorities. So like FBI, has reasonable deference to the local police and the local sheriff's offices around the country. Law enforcement generally backs up other law enforcement, and if they can avoid embarrassing each other, unfortunately, that takes precedence over actually solving the issue a lot of the time, and so they'll keep this stuff buried, and it takes a lot of work to kind of winkle it out. But something I've seen time and time again is just people not wanting to say that somebody might have made a mistake when they very obviously have.
Absolutely. And the other thing, of course, Ian's doing here is ruining any other chances of us going on holiday to America. But that aside, let's find another story. What else is before I get to the story where
the Nice one, Nice Airport?
Yes.
Back to our discussions time. I'm just about to upload the PDF. Give me just a couple of seconds, and then you'll.
All right. Well, in the UK, big news. Oh, where did that one go? There it is. Big news in the UK. Tech Ever's taken over Aberporth Airport. I'm not sure I'm down with that really. Although it's a big company, it's all good and all that sort of thing. But that gives them access to the danger areas out into the sea here, and the ones that go right down to 0 feet out into mid Wales there. So that was quite an interesting story. Another interesting story from today is, and this is probably, I think, quite a good idea. A UK Agricultural Drone Industry Association has stood up to represent the interests of said industry. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Another story in the news today, and the one I wanted to really to get Bruce to argue with me. I'm getting bored of seeing these things. Did you when you made your cruise missile, Bruce? Did you make it this shape? I can't remember.
Actually, yes, it was pretty close to that shape, to be totally honest. I found a video before. Hang on a minute. Maybe we can share it here. It's one of the very first videos on my channel. Unfortunately, it doesn't have sound. Let me see if I can
Probably
find
just
it.
as well if it's a pulse jet.
Yeah. I'll put it in the private chat so you can play it, because I don't know how to drive this thing. Hang on a minute.
Nor do I. You're rather assuming I do. But the reinvention of the wheel, the constant but there's two sides to this. So I mean, it's terrible what they're doing with these things over there. But this is the American version from SpectreWorks, the FLM 136. If you have a look, the manual for this is online, so you can see exactly how. Funny enough, it's got one of those orange cubes in it. And there it is this week with Pete Hegseth going, oh, look what we've invented. But they've been around for years. But have we all seen the images from Russia?
Looks like the original Megget target drone, doesn't it?
It does.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
But if this factory in Russia is for real, if this really is it, then this is a bit of a worry. Quite extraordinary, really. I would venture
seriously, who could have predicted that sort of low-cost cruise missiles would be the weapon of the future, and that simply by attrition you could overwhelm your enemy because it costs them 10 times as much to shoot them down as it does to send them?
I can't think
nobody.
I can't think anybody could have. I can't think that 19 years ago anybody would be considering that sort of a thing.
Absolutely not.
I mean, that's what a ridiculous idea. God, it went well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Let's have that again. 19 years. Was that the pulse jet one?
Yeah, that one had a pulse jet on it. It was quite a different pulse jet to the normal sort of pulse jet.
Okay.
But, did the job.
And well, Mick, I don't know if you know, but Bruce was very famous for creating a cruise missile back then and causing a lot of upsetting people because it could never. What have I got ticking away? That's what I've got ticking away. Get rid of that. That was.
And still in trouble to this day. There you go. Nothing changes.
A one-way trip. Yeah. And what? Funny enough, you say Simon saying a one-way trip. Funny enough, one of the extradition flights that they're having, the enforced tourism flights they're sending out of America went into Swaziland earlier today, and all the ADSB spotters here said, why is that? And it was picked up because everyone was saying, why is that aircraft routing around every single country in Africa, and a really crazy routing, and then snuck into Swaziland? Oh, and there we are. Some poor people are there, very sadly. Now, what have I got here? What's this? Here we are. This one. Take it away, Ian.
2 seconds. I'm just putting another document up as well. Open. So I've just put 2 pages up because I've got just put them through translate to English, because obviously with this happening in France, the originals were in French. So there was a big hoo-ha because with no evidence whatsoever, an aviation social media and blog kind of combined thing did a post out saying that a drone had caused the damage to this aircraft. So this aircraft was found to be damaged, I think, actually when it had landed, although the crew had noticed sort of a bang or something when they were flying into Nice airport. And so this then story goes out, despite the fact the authorities never said this, saying that a drone hit it. And straight away we were like, hang on a minute, we've heard all this before. And this story always turns out that it wasn't a drone. And when you see the actual damage that was done, it was like it isn't going to be little Timmy's drone. And there is, as Stephen pointed out at the time, there's a hell of a lot of counter drone in that area. So the idea that somebody's got the drone past completely undetected, then struck this with no debris giving any evidence to a drone whatsoever, wasn't really tenable. But it's taken 2 years. The worst thing is, and it's captured here, is in the 7 months afterwards, there was a number of aircraft, A380s, operated by Singapore Airlines that all had exactly the same fault, and they didn't even mention it to the public. So they would have already caught on and probably completely aware to the fact there wasn't a drone strike, yet they didn't say anything about this. So this thing has gone on, I think, about 2 years now, with this myth staying there that a drone had hit an airliner when it had never happened.
You're such a skeptic.
It was very clearly not a drone. You know, if you know that area as I do, I've been flying drones in that area.
What's that? Because you're going down to your villa down there. Is that what it is?
You didn't lose one,
your yacht parked in the Med.
Yes, of course. I'm just obviously visiting my vineyard in Provence. You know, so next to Brad Pitt and stuff. You know, so it's very difficult to fly a drone there, but because the whole area from Nice right up to Cannes is all CTR, because you have helicopter traffic flying from Nice airport, going all the way up to Saint-Tropez, going all the way up to Cannes. So there's absolutely no chance to fly a drone there, because there's so much counter drone that that are monitoring there. And if you are going to fly a drone, then you need to have permission. There's absolutely no chance. Now, Ian was saying there that obviously the damage was quite extensive for that. I mean, to say that was a drone, that must have been a big drone. If the damage is true, if you're flying a big drone, nobody who is a hobbyist or one of the numpties is going to be flying a drone like that there, especially around Nice. and the beach area around there as well is very highly populated. There's a lot of people who are sunbathing and stuff. So anyone flying a drone, anyone flying a big drone, they are going to see it, So the whole thing didn't make any sense at all to me from that sense, So yeah.
Sadly, it looks like we're gonna have to make up a sticker for drone for Bruce's constant saying the narrative. It really is. We need the narrative card.
Where facts count for nothing.
That's SCS News. I like that. That's the new tagline. I'm going to write that down. Where facts count for nothing.
Like the worst thing about this, and we won't name any names because we don't need to, but there was a police officer in the National Police Chiefs Council who posted this on LinkedIn at the time. So again, it was being a justification of we need police drones because of this. And the worst thing about that is when people see, even if it's on a personal account, and you say I'm doing it personally, people assume that police officer has got connections to the French authorities and knows something that we don't know, and then it gives it extra credibility. And that's the real concern, is when a police officer knows no more than anyone else, and especially when you've got a drone engineer like Philip Rouse saying, hang on a minute, this doesn't look anything like drone damage. And it's, we have seen these patterns before where it's mechanical failure. You really should be, thinking twice about what you're posting. And the fact is, essentially, you are throwing the drone industry under a bus yet again. And as we know, this has consequences. People when they're out flying, if people, Joe Bloggs hears, well, a drone's done this or a drone does that. That's when somebody gets, a fist in the face.
And how did it drift all the way from Gatwick to France anyway?
Exactly. It makes me think much like Baldrick writing on the bullet. So if we find a bus somewhere and a big, folder which says drone industry, and we chuck it under the bus, then we'll be responsible for chucking the industry under the bus, then, won't we?
Yeah.
But it's very much. I think we're. Well, I was just going to say, I think we're at that point again now with the 787s and these engine switches. Were they? Weren't they? Did they? Didn't they? It's going to be another.
Just
we will find out.
Drone incident. It must have been a drone.
Must have been a drone, in the cockpit.
Drone.
But
in the cockpit. I bet you one was flying a whoop in the cockpit, bang the switches, you're all over. That's it.
Hey guys, I have to bow out now. I got something
Cool.
Coming up. So
real to do.
Yeah, I admit it is getting boring now.
It is. You're right. You're exactly right.
Thanks,
Mick,
Rick.
thank you very much. We're honoured to have you along. Thanks for your,
thank you for
your
having
kind
me.
work.
Interesting stuff. Interesting hearing what's
Well, I
going on
wouldn't
in the
go
UK
that
drone
far.
scene.
No,
We wouldn't go that far.
21 viewers that disagree.
All right, guys.
Yes. Thanks, Mick. Cheers. Bye. Bye. Wow, that was cool. Right, there we are. It's all very exciting, isn't it? Yeah, no, I think that Airbus thing is not Airbus. The Boeing 787 thing is going to be very interesting to watch. It might.
So more people have died as a result of questionable pilot activities than drones, recreational drones,
or not even pilot activities, actual mechanical failures of aircraft. The pilots were just passengers.
Bird strikes, that Korean thing, bird strike.
Yeah, there was a fantastic one at the Royal International Air Tattoo.
This week. See that typhoon?
Yeah,
that was pretty impressive.
Very well documented as well.
Good photos.
Yeah, great photos.
You know the last thing that went through that bird's mind?
Polycarbonate. Polycarbonate. Yeah. No, that was some big things. So, well, look, can we ramble on for 3 minutes and 45 seconds?
Doubtful. It's doubtful. Even could manage that.
And it's like Dan's got a wooden quadcopter behind him, so it wouldn't go.
Boomerang. It's a boomerang, mate.
Boomerang.
Yeah. No, that was a plaque actually that was given to me by the government of Alberta for
flossing and regular brushing will get rid of plaque.
Yes. Yeah. It was given to me when I announced I was leaving the government as a thank you for standing up that program. So.
And all I got with this lousy drone. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, it's been a fun week. The Shahed thing. Oh, I know. Have we got time to do it? Because I thought what we could do if we were really bored, and we would have to be really bored, would be because people have been banging on about it. But we all know this flying wing calculator, don't we? We could make one because people are, oh wow, how did they come up with the design? Surely there's a pattern on that wing design. I forgot how to use this. We all know this, don't we? All right, let's make. I think let's. Oh, now sing amongst yourselves. You must have used this, haven't you, Bruce? Am I the only person that's used this?
Everywhere, swept wings have been around since.
Well, apparently,
a lot of birds are swept wing, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
That looks like one of those birds in a dive. You know, what are those? The swifts or something? The fastest birds on the planet.
Yes, that's right. But oh no, that's not right. What do I need to do? Let's bring. I was getting there, and now I'm not. I've forgotten what to do.
Is that it? Oh no.
No, that's not it there.
If it's a hexagon, Lamborghini would sue.
The hexagon Lamborghini. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do this live. I've forgotten the number I had in there. But that's got rid of a couple of minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
did you see in America the Homeland Security that live stream they did where they want to have basically network remote ID reintroduced with pay to fly and all that stuff? And could you believe the ignorance of some of the people on that committee? That woman who was saying, but what about those drones over New York and New Jersey? She still believes there were drones. And this is someone who's in charge of something this important. Really, how do they drag these people up?
But what's bewildered me is that everyone's gone, oh no, what's this new idea? Oh no, we never thought this would happen. We never thought it would come to this.
Attention.
Yeah, I know. For bloody 10 years. How was it 10 years ago when this conversation started?
Well, the NPRM was only, was it 5 years ago or something? I don't know.
Was it?
That was the remote ID NPRM wasn't that long ago.
Oh yeah.
Remote ID's only been in for like 3 years or something. So. But yeah, it's just they're just reviving the thing, and it really annoys me that they're just vilifying everything. And you can see there are three types of people: the ignorant, like that woman who thinks that there were drones over New Jersey and New York; those with financial self-interest, like the counter drone companies and the people who are going to provide the certified equipment, and then the politicians who are looking to jump on any bandwagon that will earn them votes.
No, it's a kerfuffle. It'll be interesting if they get it first in America. It'll help. What did they say? Only a couple of years' time they were talking about it. Well, I can't remember the year.
They're going to ramp it up. I mean, you're getting the same sort of thing in the UK with network remote ID anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, but I think it's not out of the gate yet. So
No.
It's got a couple of years on it. So America will see how it works properly. We'll see exactly what that micropayment is. And Ian, you might remember it. It wasn't a particularly micropayment, was it? In one of the cases, it was quite a lot. It was like $15, wasn't it, per flight or something like that?
I think it wasn't a figure up in the hundreds. We've had everything.
Was there?
We've had 50 pence up to over £100. I'm sure we have.
Yeah, it was a lot. There've been some crazy, because of course the user's got to pay for that valuable service. It's going to increase the safety of the drone industry and drone operators wherever you are. And if Stephen, as if you said, if they are beginning to feed out RID data, are they gonna supply operator positions as well in that feed?
I don't think so. From what I've seen, it's only going to be the drone flight itself.
Yeah.
And did you see Michael Robbins crowing about the tremendous enthusiasm for drone delivery at EAA AirVenture and the safety benefits in advance that drone operations from operators like Wing and Zipline will produce? So they're telling us these are super safe. It's safer to have these drones than someone in a van or on a bicycle, but they're so dangerous that we have to regulate them all and have authority to take off. You can't have the two stories that are completely conflicting. How can you both, it's like, what a mess. Absolutely.
The part that gets me about the entire thing is we haven't even figured out detect and avoid yet.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a prerequisite before BV loss was allowed.
Right. And we still, like in Canada anyway, come November, it's not the regulations holding back anything. It's the fact that we don't have a detect and avoid solution that will work for beyond 3-4 miles of BV loss.
Well, they let you use that here. They let us use that Cassia. Is it called Cassia? I can't remember. Yeah. That camera-based system. They let us use that, and we're good to go to 15 kilometers with that.
Yeah, but to unlock drone delivery, right? We need 100 kilos moving 100 kilometers in Canada anyway. Middle mile is where it's at in Canada, not last mile. But
yeah. I think that's where it's going to be out everywhere.
Out there. Yeah. And I think the first company that gets an onboard detect and avoid system approved is going to let's just say they'll have the inside track.
Yes. Now I have another video here.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's not available for me.
Isn't it? Oh, is it gone?
No.
Oh,
not available.
Does it play here? It plays for me. Maybe I got that URL wrong. Hang on. I'll just copy the whole thing because I've started.
It doesn't play for me either. It doesn't.
Hang on. I'll give it another go, gentlemen. Try this one, which has got a.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Yeah.
Let me just. But I think it looks to me very, very much like the sort of flight that's found on an SD card.
Yeah. I mean, goodness me, where do the bodies end up? Mute the audio.
Yeah.
But I mean, have you noticed one thing about that? It's very deserted up there. There's not a lot of other stuff. Someone crunched the math. Someone crunched the math.
You're right.
They figured out that the chances of someone colliding with an airplane by pure chance are like less than any other circumstance involving aviation. You could just put a drone at one point in the sky, as long as it wasn't in an air traffic lane, and the chances are it would never get hit by a manned aircraft. So BV loss, providing you do your, you fly in areas where there's not going to be manned aircraft, you have an ADS-B air out. Hobbyists have been proving for nearly 2 decades now that you can do it safely, and no one gets hurt, no property is damaged, no aircraft are hit, as long as you do it safely. And when I say we, not me, but the serious hobbyists have developed all the protocols and necessary things to do that. Yet they're going to be told by people who drive desks and coffee cups how to do it safely, and that really annoys me.
And you got to remember, VFR and aircraft. There could be an aircraft coming around the corner of that cloud. You know, they could be coming at each other, crewed aircraft. There's no requirement for them
more
to be
between
talking
manned
each other.
aircraft. There was another one just the other day. Did you see that one taking off, one landing? I think
Oh yeah,
one covered
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Manned aircraft are hitting other manned aircraft, you know, on far too regular a basis. Yet we're all worried about a tiny drone hitting an airplane and the possibly huge consequences. Yet every day we see the consequences of actual collisions between manned aircraft, and it's like, oh, it's just an acceptable risk. I'm sorry, but focus on the real things that take human lives, not on someone flying a 20-gram drone down the hall of their house.
Yeah. Oh, this just in, because it's the 23rd now. Ukraine signs major drone co-production deal. Oh, look at that. Eric Schmidt gets in there.
Of course.
That stinks, doesn't it?
That's a PR opportunity. That's just a PR opportunity gone mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is just later, isn't it? That stinks. Anyway, that's just arrived in my inbox right now. But the
Ukraine can supply all the second-hand drone parts from the fields.
Yep, exactly. They very much can, can't they? Very, very much can. Right. It looks to me like we've gone over time, 6 minutes over time. So I'm going to say
before.
It's never happened. No, never like that. Never like that. I'm very conscious now. There used to only be me that was up so flipping late, but Stephen's an hour ahead of me. So it's one. No, you're in Scotland now. You're not
half
now.
a day ahead of you.
You're half a day. That's true. That's very true. And Canada, well, it's in its own
still
world,
the 1800s, aren't they?
Still 18, exactly. Yeah.
On the same as Ian just now.
The same as Ian. Elbows up. Yes. All right. Okay. Dear viewer, wherever you are in the world, you look after yourselves, and we will see you again at 2100 next week. Gin and tonic, and we see what will happen in the world. No, he's in Scotland now. Cheers, everyone.